In our previous video, we checked out all the highlights of Cairo. Today, we get well off the beaten path in the Siwa Oasis. From Siwa Oasis, we are about, 86 kilometers or so away from the border of Libya. Alright, so like a 2-minute walk from the guest house, you come across this little mountain here with little holes in it, and inside are little caves. Won't go in because I don't know if I'm allowed to go in or not, but this whole mountain is just like a full mountain of caves, so I'm gonna go around and explore a little bit more. These mountain hills with small carved caves out of them are called the Jabal al-Mata, otherwise known as Mountain of the Dead. They were used as burial grounds for the higher class, and interestingly enough, remains of mummified cats have been found here. These caves have also served as shelter for the locals during both world wars. We actually are allowed inside of the caves, and inside, just like everywhere in Egypt, you have all these hieroglyphic drawings and paintings and everything. These ones have lasted really well. Yeah.
So this is a good place to show your student cards.
So when you explore the other caves, it's also really cool, but there's no Egyptian art or anything, just kind of regular caves, just like this. There's a little cave right down here, right here. Bam! We're gonna try to sneak into this one. Oh, I'm too tall for this. Oh, there we go. This is what you see as soon as you get inside. Just, I don't know what this was made for or why humans felt the need to make this, but I'm assuming people once upon a time lived here and used this for shelter. I'm gonna head out. And this town is about as local as you could possibly find anywhere else. Like, there's a couple of touristy places to see, a couple of sites, so I'm sure there's going to be some tourists there. There's a couple of guest houses, but just walking around the actual streets away from the tourist sites, like, there's no possible way you could ever find somewhere more local than this. It's great to explore. The town of Siwa itself is in fairly rough condition, although it's very safe for tourists. The locals live a very traditional life and are predominantly a Berber culture. In fact, the locals speak a Berber language called Siwi as their first language, which is only spoken by 15 to 20,000 people. Out of necessity, most locals can also speak fluent Arabic. Siwa's economy is heavily dependent on local agriculture, as they have a rich source of olives and dates. As for transportation, you'll see more donkey carts than you will vehicles. So now we're gonna roam around Fort of Shali, and it's a huge fortress made of mud. This is the ancient fortress of Shali. It's made of mud brick and palm logs and was built in the 13th century as shelter for the locals. The fortress was completely destroyed in 1926 after a heavy rainstorm tore right through it. Aside from the renovated front section, the Shali fortress has remained abandoned and in complete ruins. Today it serves as a unique off-the-beaten-path tourist attraction where one can experience true ruins without touristy gimmicks. My friend and I were the only 2 tourists in the entire fortress. I literally have this place all to myself. There's just these little caves everywhere that you can just go explore in. It's crazy, man. And that's the end of that. If you love fortresses, especially one just in absolute ruins, then I absolutely highly recommend you come to the Fort of Shali. This place did not disappoint one bit at all. I'm starting to think that maybe I travel way too much, because here I am traveling in the middle of a town called Siwa, Egypt, which is hundreds of kilometers away from any big city or anything. And it's a pretty gutted place. Like, just this seems like it's kind of in the midst of being rebuilt, or I don't really know. But walking around, it's just like, it took me hours just to realize, like, oh, this place is pretty strange. So all these strange places, I think I'm just adapting to everything way too quickly, because just like all these weird places, it just becomes my normal. I just like, bam, just like, okay, this is gonna be my life for the next couple days, so be it. So I don't know, maybe that's probably a good thing, I guess, but that's my life right now, and it's, I kind of like it. Good morning, it's day 2 from Siwa Oasis, and I want to go to the top of this rock here. There's a couple cool monuments at the top. More on that in a minute, but I have no idea how to get there, so I'm just kind of following this one path that I just randomly came across, and hopefully I get to the top somehow. Alright, so after searching for like 10 minutes, I finally found the entrance, and here we are at the Temple of Amun. So this tomb was actually built in about 660 BC, and the internet told me that Alexander the Great had built it, and there's a sign outside that actually says that was false. Actually, he visited here, and I guess he had some sort of vision here, so it does have some historical relevance to Alexander the Great.
No, Alexander the Great did not construct this temple, but rather the Greeks did in 1385 BC, and Alexander paid a visit upon his first journey to Egypt. It's speculated that Alexander believed he was the son of the ancient Egyptian god Ammon, so he journeyed to this temple. Here, he would consult an oracle to prove he was the son of god Ammon. It's said that the oracle showed him horns, which is symbolic of the god he claimed to be son of, which was enough confirmation for him to now claim he was the son of the god Ammon.
So it's pretty cool to think and know that Alexander the Great was probably walking up these very steps that I'm walking up now. So the Shali Fortress that we saw yesterday was in complete ruin, so it was really hard to actually tell just what it looked like before. Whereas this one, it's crumbling, it is being destructed a little bit over time, but it's still intact enough to where you can actually understand what it was supposed to look like. So it's time to leave this little temple now, and we are going to go find Cleopatra's bath.
It was a scenic walk amongst palm trees that only took 20 minutes before we found ourselves in front of Cleopatra's bath.
So we've made it to the Bath of Cleopatra. We're just walking straight down this road, and the bath is exactly just dead center in the road right here, just like that. And so if you look there, that's where Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, was bathing herself so many years ago.
Actually, there is no concrete proof that Cleopatra had ever bathed here herself. However, it is believed she did swim here during her visit to Siwa. It is now a hot spring, and the sides are built of stone.
So naturally, I've got to dip my hand in here and see what it's like. It's warm.
I checked my offline map to see what else was around and decided to visit an unknown village dotted on the map. I stumbled upon these 2 pigeon towers before reaching the village.
So if you keep walking past Cleopatra's bath, you'll come across this town just made of mud huts and completely abandoned things, and behind me are these really cool mountains, and on the mountains there's a bunch of mud huts, so I'm going to explore this area for a little bit because it's pretty cool.
This was one of the most unique and off-the-beaten-path places I've ever experienced. Part of me felt like I was experiencing 16th century Libya, and part of me felt like I had discovered a village on Mars. As a traveler who loves hidden places and worlds so different than my own, I was ecstatic to discover this village. Yes, it is rough, but to me, it's so fascinating.
So everything right in front of this mountain, like this mud hut here and then this mud hut here, like everything is just completely abandoned, and they're just everywhere. They're just all in ruins. It's so amazing. And then right in front of this little area is just a tiny little village, and everything's just made out of white stone, but there's people living here. It's even electricity lines and everything, but as far as this area here, just completely in ruins, completely abandoned. So that's basically what you're rewarded with when you decide to go away from all the tourist sites and just go a random direction and see, oh, what's going on down here? There's like no tourists down here, what's up? So yeah, sometimes you're rewarded with things like that. tourists just don't go there. It's just local life. You really see something that is really quite unique.
That evening, we hopped on another night bus to head back to Cairo, ending our 2-night journey in the Siwa Oasis. In our next video, we head to Luxor to see some of the world's greatest temples and monuments. See you on the next video.